What's going on, everybody? This is HBCU Game Day, and you are watching Verified Sources with SJG, and I'm your host, Stephen J. Gaither, aka SJG. Hope you guys are doing great today. Coming to you guys live on a Friday evening, so shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Still kind of figuring out, what date and time is going to work best for me individually in this format. Really looking forward to the college football season coming up soon. I anticipate having the D2 HBCU show coming back for sure this fall, as well as some other things in the works. So appreciate everybody for who follows the page, no matter what. And thank you guys for tuning in. If you're first time, please go ahead and hit that like button and let's get started. So we got a good amount of things to talk about. We are now on the 1st of August, which means we are just over 3 weeks away from the start of the HBCU football season. So how you guys feeling about that, man? It's pretty amazing. Things don't always seem that way during the summer, my least favorite time of the year. Maybe we'll talk about that another time, but we have gotten through that portion of it, and now folks are actually in camp. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to go to some camps and see what guys have cooking. But before we get to all that, let's talk about the new news that has come out over this week, and that is regarding the forces of Voltron getting together and making an announcement. Now, I'm kidding about the forces of Voltron, but in all seriousness, there was a big announcement this week. Let's go ahead and cut to that. They put out this joint statement talking about this new entity. It's called the HBCU4U. The story is on HBCUGameday, so you guys can go read it there. But it says, in a groundbreaking moment for collegiate sports, 4 NCAA athletic conferences comprised primarily of HBCUs have formed a unit to protect and elevate the future of Black college athletics. They got a whole logo, and they go on and talk about their mission, rooted in legacy and growth. And in a joint statement, the 4 commissioners emphasized that this collaboration is about more than just sports. The formation of the HBCU4US Association marks a new era of collaboration, according to the commissioners. As stewards of our storied athletic programs, we are committed to honoring our legacy while creating opportunities to ensure competitiveness and sustainability of HBCU athletics for generations to come. Of course, we've had these conferences for the CIAA and the SIC are well over 100 years old. The SWAC just crossed the 100-year threshold as well. The MEAC's been around for 55 years. Why now? A lot of people are asking that. Well, and still looking to get some clarity with some verified sources I've reached out to hear directly from them. But we are at, of course, everyone knows we're at a turning point, or well beyond a turning point, to be honest with you, with NCAA athletics. The advent of the transfer portal at the end of the last decade and NIL at the beginning of this decade have totally transformed what that is and how things are competing. It used to be that the schools held all the power. They would have the scholarships for the athletes. You couldn't directly pay them, and really the schools had the power year to year to say whether or not you were going to come back. And if they didn't want you to come back, you didn't come back and play athletically. Then the transfer portal came around, gave students and athletes a little bit more room to play with. And then we got into this new era with the NIL, where you could pay players get paid by companies. And now it's at the point where schools can pay companies, thanks to the House versus NCAA. Schools can pay directly to student athletes. That is literally a game changer. As we know, it's been going on for decades, right? It's nothing new. This is something that HBCUs have been having to put up and compete against literally since most PWIs decided that they were willing to allow us in their spaces. So with that being said, this isn't anything new, but it is a new day in terms of the ability, also the power that the student athletes have, where they can go anywhere they want to from year to year. And that's just kind of the way that things go. And while it is great and empowering for the student athletes, it most certainly is, it creates a lot of challenges for institutions that don't have a lot of resources. And I don't know if you know, but that would mean HBCUs. So, of course, every year pretty much we're losing our top talent to these places because these guys can pay. And we live in a capitalistic society, so it makes sense that these student athletes by and large are going. You have a couple folks here and there who have chosen not to go. I did a couple really great interviews with a lot of student athletes over the time of the media days, and maybe I'll get a chance to play one, maybe not. But I did a story on Jacoby Morgan, who was a quarterback at Syracuse, started off at Syracuse, transfer portal, gave him options. He chose Jackson State back in his home of Mississippi, and ultimately it's worked out for him. He won the SWAC championship and the Celebration Bowl last year, and then this year he has decided that he would stay. Now, a lot of times we're losing those guys.
Yeah, I did. I had people, willing to reach out, but I'm a loyalty guy. Even though I left Syracuse, there's something I didn't want to do, but I just knew it was best for me, and that I had T.C. Taylor right there, one of the best person that I'd have in my life. That's God. It's a God, man. So I knew that I made the right decision, and I didn't feel no need to leave. I love this city. I love Jackson. I love the team and everything they bring. So I just I'm a hometown kid, so I want to be a legend there. I don't want to just move around to go from school to school. Not judging nobody who does, but I just want to be somewhere staple. I want to be a staple guy.
All right, so there you have it. You heard it from Jacoby Morgan, the quarterback over at Jackson State, as he's looking forward to cementing his legacy at JSU, trying to lead the team to back-to-back SWAC titles and, of course, back-to-back Celebration Bowls. And so we'll be seeing a lot of him. Jackson State's getting a lot of television time. Those are some of the announcements that came out over the media days as well. So great to hear from him. But as far as back to the HBCU4US, I'm still, doing my investigative journalism and trying to figure out, some of the things that they're tangibly going to do. But I do think that I do know that I have a couple things that I hope come out of this. One that I hope that comes out of this is something that is very selfish, but it actually works out for everybody. And that is, I hope that the 4 HBCUs will get together, the 4 HBCU conferences will get together and, how should I say this? The 4 HBCU conferences will get together and come up with a schedule of media days for football that allows entities such as HBCUGameday, but also Dr. Cavill and, so many other entities that cover HBCUs nationally to be able to not have to choose, okay, CIAA and the SWAC, say, for example, are having their media day the same day. Can't be at 2 places at one time. Where am I going to go? One's going to get taken care of, one's not. Fortunately for us, we had the great fortune of having myself and Tali and Wilton Jackson and Simone Stanley over at the SWAC. And we also had my guy Kobe and Wally Pitt. They were there in Durham for the media days as well. But this is like the second time in a number of years that they have had their media days on the same day. And so, again, for the national media, it makes it a lot easier if they're on different days. Or if they are going to be close, still not, oh, wow, I just threw my phone. Still not the same day, but close enough to where you can get from one to the other, maybe in the same city. The SIC, I know the SWAC Media Day is in Birmingham pretty consistently. The SIC's kind of moved around a little bit. Maybe the SIC says, hey, we'll partner up with you and we'll have ours one day and then you guys have yours the next day. So people can hit up both. And the CIAA and the MEAC, they run together as far as their regional footprint. Okay, well, you guys have that week. You know what? We'll take another week. CIAA one day, MEAC the other day. Of course, again, everybody has to run their individual institutions. But I just think that those are some of the things that I have been hoping would come from this, because this isn't the first time that these 4 have gotten together. But I hope that that's something that is going to take place. The different conferences have their different strengths, right? They have certain things that they do better than the others. So hopefully this will be a chance to where not only just the commissioners get together, but the brain trust of the different conferences get together, and everybody still has their own individual flavor, but they learn from each other what the other ones do well. Like, I know the CIAA does a great job, obviously, with their CIAA tournament. I mean, they've got history on their side. They got a lot of momentum. I know the SWAC has come along quite a bit. Love to see the SIAC and the MEAC, kind of get on that same train as well. And then I think the CIAA does a great job with, again, promoting their basketball product. I feel like they could probably do better promoting their football product. The SWAC does an amazing job promoting their football product in their media day. So again, I think these entities working together, again, still being their own individual collective selves, but these entities working together and learning from each other like a brain trust, it just makes sense overall for HBCU athletics. So you guys let me know what you think. And then I have one more that I don't think I've heard a lot of people talk about, but I think this is going to be important. And I think that I know that it's very important for it to happen. And that is a brain trust, right? Or a group mentality. We'll call it, some of you guys may be too young for this. I'm actually probably a little too young for it too, but back in the 90s, they had these big posse cuts, right? Self-destruction. You guys may remember self-destruction, and self-destruction is cool, but on the West Coast, they actually had something called We're All in the Same Game. We're all in the same game. You're on YouTube, check it out. We're all in the same game anyway. And it's just basically, they put up a unified front, that's what they're talking about. That's what it was about. In that case, it was to stop violence. I think in the case of HBCUs, I think it's to stop us from being, I think it's best business practices and to stop us from being preyed upon by predatory entities, whether they be bowl game promoters, whether they be media entities, whatever. The HBCU space, has been so valuable for so long. And a lot of us have seen the value in it and really invested the time and effort that it takes to build what we have around it. And, and working with it, it wasn't always as glamorous as it is now. And it's still a work in progress. And because of that, and again, we talked about the power schools, the bigger schools. Those schools have some built-in advantages that we don't have. So because of that, a lot of folks who are in charge at our conferences and our schools sometimes run into people who sometimes they're from internal in our culture, and that definitely happens. But there is an insidious nature about it. But also a lot of times people from outside the HBCU space come in, they see, oh, wow, they see all these great opportunities, and they see people who are desperate for money, who are in need of money or desperate for exposure. And so a lot of times what has happened throughout history, and a lot of people may not know this, but I've been, privileged to sit at tables. I remember the first Celebration Bowl. I was able to sit at the same table with some folks who have been around longer than myself. Ken Rashad from HBCU Sports was there, but also one of my mentors, Lou Williams from the Black College Sports page, and Eric Moore, God rest his soul, from On the Dam, who passed away a couple years ago. And it was after the first Celebration Bowl, and I think I had just turned 30 at the time, so I was still pretty young. But, I was just sitting there listening to them to talk about, these different people and different entities that had, over the course of a few decades, the decades that they had been involved, had swindled their way into the offices of conference commissioners, athletic directors, what have you, and gotten them to agree to deals that sounded good on the front end. They promised the money, they promised the exposure, they claimed to have all this, this access. And knowing that the HBCUs didn't have it or didn't know where to get it, they were able to take advantage of folks, not pay people, events not happen the way that they were supposed to, and then sometimes the conferences would often get left holding the bill. And what my hope is that because those things are still happen now. They still happen now. There's a lot of things, that happens and you're like, oh, this is going to happen. And then it doesn't happen or something, whatever, there's a lot of that goes on. I think, who was it that Deion Sanders used the term janky promoters. There's so many different ways you can put it, but hopefully what this association of these 4 HBCU conferences do is they come together and give a brain trust and like, okay, hey, we got this guy coming over here saying he can do this, that, and the third for us. Have you ever dealt with him before? What are your dealings? And then, maybe, hey, it checks out. Cool. Let's run with it. Let's run together. Or, hey, nah, you really don't want to roll with these people. This is the situation that I had, either way that it goes. But I think that to me could be a key piece of what the HBCU4US eventually does and what, its impact could be. So again, those are my thoughts on it. Still, in the communications with a couple conference commissioners to try to understand a little bit more what we aren't seeing in the press release. But until I get that information, I thought it was important to talk about that, right? Again, the HBCU space the HBCU space in general has opened up so much over just the past time since I started Game Day back in 2012, and just to see the growth that HBCUs have had during that time is amazing. Across the spectrum, this is pre-Celebration Bowl, Deion Sanders, this is pre-HBCU Go, this is so many of these things that we have now in place that, really have helped elevate HBCUs on, brands athletically and academically have happened since 2012. And so it's been a blessing. And I just think it's very important that we continue to value this space and to hold space for it. With that being said, we are just, again, a couple of weeks away from football season 2025. Can you believe it? As I'm recording this, it's Friday, August 1st. And so literally 6:22 p.m. So it's literally like just over 3 weeks. Be in Atlanta for the MEAC SWAC Challenge, Southern versus North Carolina Central. Really looking forward to that. They had a really great press conference between the two earlier in Atlanta. And so, you'll hear from Terrence Graves and also Trey Oliver about this game. Here's a little bit of that from the media day.
Well, it always puts us in the forefront. We're doing something on the FCS level that other schools and other conferences are rarely doing. And so to have this opportunity, we play a lot on television anyway, and then to have an opportunity to be the only show in town on the 23rd is huge for both institutions, and we're excited about the opportunity here at Southern University.
And my last question, what do you hope your players take away from this moment?
I hope they take it all in. Take it all in from the time we get here to the time we leave, and hopefully that we'll come out and play well and come out victorious so that the ride home will be so much sweeter.
Coach is a great person, man, and I've got a lot of good relationships with a lot of coaches and everything, but when you talk about a genuine person and good and like close personal friends, I consider him a close personal friend. And we've known each other. We're both from the CIAA. He's Winston-Salem State, obviously, and we were in CIAA at that point in time. But then, watching his career go and, the success that he's had and even the trials and tribulations that he's gone through, going from one school to another and might get a job, might not get a job, and then being able to win the Bayou Classic on both sidelines, that's huge. And it's just, I think good things happen to good people. And for us to still stay in touch and be this tight is great. And then for us to be able to compete, that's my guy. I love him to death, and we're tight. But I know, on Saturday at 7:30, he's going to be trying to gun for me, and I'm definitely going to be gunning for him. So after that, we're going to shake hands, we're going to hug, and and we'll be friends again after that. But for those 3 hours, we're gonna get after it.
Thanks both of those gentlemen. That was back in July. We are now again in August, so the football season is almost here. And both those teams are now in camp. Southern's been in camp for a while. North Carolina Central kicked off camp this week. I'm actually going to go to see them on Saturday. So I'm excited about that as well as we get prepared for the season. So into that, let's end the show with this. I think this was a little bit impromptu and off the cuff, but I want to get to this. So, the beauty of social media. Again, I talked about the growth of HBCUs since I started HBCU Game Day back in 2012. And one of the things has been that I've been proud to be a part of sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, what is this? Like, let me get away from it. But that is the growth of HBCU Twitter as a whole. To see the community come together and gel as a group has been it's been really interesting. You never know what you're going to get from day to day. And especially now, there's so many more people that are getting to this space as creators, that comes in various shapes and forms. But I think for sure, it has led to a lot of interesting conversations. And also you have the advent of AI. So you put all those together and you're going to get what I'm about to show you. And this will be a fun way to end the show. Again, please guys, hit the like button. I really appreciate you for doing that. Thank you so much. All right.
What the hell is... Ooh, y'all are really testing me on some stuff that I...
So on July 31st, this appeared on the timeline and it got people going. It's got people into a lot of conversation. It's been almost 24 hours at this point and people are still talking about it. It's some good football legacy HBCU stuff talking about. So let's get to it. So it basically broke down the different HBCU programs, all the Division I, just Division I, by their classifications. So as you see, we have Blue Bloods, we got Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Blue Bloods, historically dominant, iconic HBCU football programs. Tier 1, rich legacies, multiple titles, and strong regional recognition. Tier 2, competitive programs with moments of excellence. Tier 3, limited football success historically, smaller budgets, or inconsistent performance. All right. So I knew that this was going to happen. Some of the comments we had Jackson State's own Zoe Phillips said, "Who made this damn list? Tennessee State and Tuskegee are blue bloods. Everything else don't matter." And so, it definitely is a great discussion. We've had I know the folks over at HBCU Nightly have had this discussion. And so let's get into it just a little bit. Let's look at this list. First of all, whoever created this list clearly used ChatGPT or some AI contingent. And look, full disclosure, we over at HBCU Game Day, again, full disclosure, we over at HBCU Game Day, we do use AI in some instances. So I'm not anti-AI at all, but we also know that AI has its limitations. And the graphics that are posted here show the limitations. I mean, some of this stuff is close and some of this stuff is just downright awful. So yeah, there's that. But okay, once you get behind that, let's get to the context or the content of what's on there. So the blue blood tier: Grambling State, Florida A&M, Jackson State, Southern University, South Carolina State. All of these programs have sent multiple guys to. They've won a lot of championships. Only JSU, Grambling, all of these guys have won Celebration Bowls except for Southern, but blue bloods are generally considered people who have done this for a long time. So we'll take that out. All of them have national championships. It's hard to argue against any of these there. All of these guys all have, if I'm not mistaken, Grambling has, I forget how many Hall of Famers Grambling has. I know Jackson State definitely has 4 Hall of Famers. I know Southern has 4 Hall of Famers, and I know South Carolina State claims 4 Hall of Famers. Florida, FAMU, not quite 4 Hall of Famers, but they do have Bob Hayes for sure, and then obviously Grambling. We know they're another one with 4 Hall of Famers as well. So all these teams meet all the criterias. I will say this, and as we get into this, it'll make sense. So then they got Tier 1, rich legacies, multiple titles, strong regional recognition. I see Alcorn State there. That makes sense. I see North Carolina A&T there. That makes sense. I see Tennessee State there, and I feel like they deserve to be in Tier 1. But then you get to the point where how many blue bloods can there be? They should be blue bloods. I feel like they should be up there. Some argue that South Carolina State may be a little bit too high, but I feel like TSU should be up there. Alabama State should not be up there. Alabama State for me would be down in Tier 2.
Sorry to this man.
Is she telling the truth about that?
That's true.
Tier 2. Some people said Tier 3, but Tier 2. Hampton is interesting because Hampton came into the MEAC and their first decade in the MEAC, they really wrecked shop. And I have it here. So let's see. Let me pull it up on my phone while we're here. But yeah, so Hampton gets into the MEAC in 1996, I believe is the first year that they compete. 97, they win. 98, they tie with FAMU. And then from 2004, they tied with South Carolina State. 2005, 2006, they were sole champions. But see, this is where this list gets in trouble with me, because last night I got into a debate with the Hampton alumnus about their place. And my problem with them on Tier 1 was that they went about 50 years in the CIAA from 1933, I believe, until 1985. Greatest year in the world ever, by the way. The year I was born. I'll be 40 this year. Anyway, they went that long without winning a CIAA title. And so I held that against them. But you know what? To that gentleman, I want to say sorry to this man. I want to say sorry because the way that this is set up, these are only Division I schools, right? There is no Tuskegee on here. There is no Central State. There's no Albany State. There's no Winston-Salem State. So because these are all Division I schools, I have to deduct that this is only what they've done at the Division I level. And so when you put that in there, that is where things get a little bit murky. Because based off that, Hampton, you could see them being Tier 1 based off this, again, they're Division I time. You could see them being Tier 1, probably more like Tier 2 right now. But when you're talking about the legacy of these programs, and especially some of these other programs, a lot of it is also still based on what they did before they became Division I institutions. And so, if you're not recognizing Tuskegee for being the all-time winningest HBCU, you're basically saying none of their wins count. Nothing that they've done counts. And so if you take that into regard, then basically everybody's pre 1978 history doesn't matter. And for a Hampton, for North Carolina Central, some of these other schools that were in the CIAA or the SIAC, everything they did before there doesn't matter. So with that in mind, I would probably take Alabama State down. I probably move North Carolina Central up. North Carolina Central's been to the Celebration Bowl twice. They have won the MEAC several times. They've won the MEAC several times. And they've been to the FCS playoffs as well. Alabama State, not quite the same. I believe they've only got a pair of titles as well. So I got to move them down. I'm moving Tennessee State up. Yeah. And so as we continue to go through these, Alabama A&M, they have Alabama A&M has the I think it's 2007 SWAC title that they beat. 2007, I believe it is, that they have that SWAC title. And then they have the SWAC title that came during the abbreviated spring season of 2020. They won it. It's a title. So those are the two titles that they have. And then, again, this is just a god-awful North Carolina Central. It's a diseased bird. I don't know. Anyway, North Carolina Central, like I said, I could potentially see them moving up a little bit. Maybe they're tier 1 or tier 2. I could be either way. Prairie View was another one where you're getting a lot of credit for stuff that happened a long time ago, way before that there was a Division I. And again, if you're going to put Prairie View up here, you damn sure got to have Tuskegee. I'm just going to say it. If you're going to put Prairie View up there, you got to have Tuskegee. Because what Prairie View has done, God bless them, most of that was before any of us were born. It just is what it was. I mean, now we did have some stuff in the 60s, which is close, but it was still way before there was a Division I. So there's that. Howard, competitive programs with moments of excellence. If I look at these last almost 50 years, Howard, what they've done, they got one title in '87 that they had to vacate because rules violations. The 1993 Jay Walker, they did their thing. That was solid. Can't do there. I believe they had another title in 96 that was vacated as well. Or if I'm not mistaken, or they were close. And then you got to go all the way till 2022 when they got a piece of the MEAC title, even though they lost to North Carolina Central. Then in 2023, they won the whole thing, and then they've fallen back. I can't. Them at tier 2 is really pushing it. It's really pushing it. Really pushing it. I just did the HBCU elitism video on my WSSU Ram Nation station, so go check that out as well. I think they're getting a little bit of elitism there as well. Howard, I can't. And so, honestly, Howard's probably a tier 3. Prairie View's probably a tier 3 too to me, to be honest with you as well. But they're probably down. I probably got to bring them down lower as well. Bethune-Cookman, I will give this to them. Sean Wyatt got them some wins. Larry Little as well. I believe he led them to a championship. And then you also have obviously what Brian Jenkins was able to do while he was there. So I definitely see them as a tier 2 program. They had a good run. They had a run that was pretty much as good as Hampton. almost as productive as Hampton, not as long though. So yeah, and then if we're gonna be honest, we gotta. If we're gonna be honest, we got a lot of these. There's a lot of school in the tier 3. I'm just gonna keep it real. Let's go line by line. So you got Delaware State. Delaware State actually has 5 MEAC titles. They actually have, I believe, 5 MEAC titles, including the most recent one in 2007. We're knocking on 20 years. But I could see potentially bringing them up. Now, here's another issue that I have. Here's another issue that I have with this, and that is the fact that when we're talking about titles, a lot of these are shared. A lot of these are shared titles, and to me, a shared title loses a little bit of value. It's like if I was giving a point scale, I'd give you half a point for a shared title because, yeah, I mean, some years, especially in the MEAC and the SWAC before the SWAC championship game, but some years in the MEAC, you have 3, 4, 5 champions, and I'm not lying. I was there for it. I witnessed it. 2014, crazy. So sometimes you have that. And yeah. And so it's hard to quantify that and to make that equal. And it does inflate some resumes. So, UAPB, they are where they are. They won in 2012. But as far as Division I, that's as good as it's gotten for them. That's where they are. Texas Southern, same thing. I mean, they've been where they've been. Norfolk State. Let me make sure I'm pulling this so you guys can see it. Make sure you guys can really just see and hone in on this. Yeah, Norfolk State, again, if we're talking about their time, even in Division II, but just in their Division I, they have 1 title, which was vacated. They're definitely there for a reason. Texas Southern's there for a reason. UAPB's there for a reason. They're not here. But obviously Mississippi Valley State is there as well. But let's talk about Morgan State. Morgan State is the interesting piece in the case study, that in this as a case study, because, and really what it means to be a blue blood.
I don't know how it works. I need more information.
So let's just look this up. Blue blood. A blue blood is noble birth. Noble birth. That's what the definition of it is. Athletically, I'm sure there's a different. Let's see if I can find let's see. All right. Let's get to this. A blue blood in sports refers to a select group of highly successful and historically prominent programs, particularly in college basketball and football. These programs typically boast a long history of winning multiple national championships, strong fan bases, and a reputation for sustained excellence. Again, that's the AI definition there of it. So that's what. So again, let's get this together. Highly successful, historically prominent, multiple national championships, strong fan bases, and a reputation for sustained excellence. And so, and I say all of that because we have a case study of Morgan State football history. We have a case study here, and in other cases as well. But we have a case study here, and let's just go with it. And all right, so they've been playing football for 127 years. They are 448, 444, and 38, which means that if they don't go 500 this year, they're going to be a losing program. They have claimed 7 national titles. And let me make sure that you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Let's see. Let's just make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. All right, you're seeing what I'm seeing. So Morgan State started playing football in 1898. And look, 7 claimed national titles. 1933, 1937, 1943, 1944, 1946, 1949, and 1967. The last national title claimed was 1967, the year of our Lord. That's the same year my mother was born. I'm about to be 40. There's that. Again, sustained excellence. So they have 21 conference titles. Let's see. All right, 1930s. The 1930s. Look, they ran the 1930s in the CIAA. Again, there was no MEAC then. Most of the teams that are in the MEAC now were in the CIAA at that point. 1940s, similar thing. So the Great Depression, Morgan State was on it. World War II, Morgan State, you did your thing. Coach Edward P. Hurt, who should be in the College Football Hall of Fame, no doubt, who is not in the College Football Hall of Fame yet. I believe he just got in the Black College Football Hall of Fame. He was the coach there, and just phenomenal what he did. Then he passed it over. Then you see, by the time we get to the 1950s, post-World War, then you start to see other teams emerge in the CIAA. You see Maryland State, now UMES, which is not even a program anymore. You see North Carolina Central emerge as a program. You see North Carolina A&T. Those schools start to emerge as programs. And so only one in the 50s. Then in the 1960s, you get cooking under Earl Banks. And from 62 to 68, you have 5 CIAA championships. You're talking undefeated seasons for the most part. One loss here, one loss there, and one in 1971 that they're claiming, which is interesting because they didn't play in the CIAA championship game that year. We might have to dispute that one. Because they didn't play in the CIAA championship game that year. They were getting ready to go to the MEAC. But anyway, that's where their history lies. Now, here we go for the MEAC. You got 3 MEAC. You got 3 MEAC titles. I'm sorry. That's the 1971. They're claiming MEAC. Earl Banks was the coach. So this right here, these first 2 right here, the MEAC was a college division conference, Division II. And I don't think it's that Clarence Thomas. That was the head coach. But in 1979, they were 9-2. They did win the MEAC. Before leaving the conference, because the conference was going Division I and being mandated to go Division I. Anyway, so 2014, Lee Hull leads to a 76 year. And again, that was the year where there were not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 MEAC champions. So, when I initially saw, all of that to say, And also, if you look at their attendance, they average about they averaged less than 4,000 fans last year per game. So again, strong fan bases were in that as well. So if we look at this, in the last 50 years, they have 3 titles. In the last 50 years, you have 3 titles. 2 of them shared, one of them outright. Are they still a blue blood? I'm gonna say no. They want to say yes. A lot of people want to say yes. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. You let me know what you guys think, but I feel like you can lose that status. You can lose that based on the definition. To me, you can lose that status. It takes a long time, but I feel like 50 years is a pretty damn good sample size. That's just me. Again, especially when you consider that you don't have Tuskegee on here. You don't have Fort Valley State. You don't have Virginia Union. You don't have Virginia State, Winston-Salem State. They're nowhere to be found because honestly, their football legacy is as deep as a lot of these schools are here as well. It just is what it is. It just is what it is.
I didn't lie at any point. I really love to be honest.
So that is my thoughts on it, but I think that it was a great conversation. I think it's always great when we delve into HBCU football history. I do believe it needs a lot more context because you can take stats and you can run with them and say all this, that, and the third. It takes a lot more context. Again, for me, if most of your stuff is built on what you did before you were D1 and now you're trying to claim that in D1, it's not really quite the same. That's just me. But look, guys, this has been a long one. So if you have gotten with me to the end of this, thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that like button and let me know if you like this format, this long-term format, and I'll try to bring it to you a little bit more often. But again, thank you guys so much. Please, 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 guys, please do this for me. If you haven't already, please go ahead and go onto your Android or Google or Apple store and download the HBCU Gameday app. That's where all of our news, all of our scores go to, and that will keep you in the know, which is going to be important. And it's a great way to keep up with our content, come straight to you, and help us out so much. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You're watching Verified Sources with SJG on HBCU Game Day.